relations have undergone considerable change during the last few decades. At the contemporary, global concerns such as terrorism, environmental issues, and migration have caused great threat against the existence of all living organisms. Let us be aware on all of these issues. Terrorism. Terrorism is characterized first and foremost by use of violence. Historically, the term terrorism defined state violence against the citizens during the Reign of Terror and French Revolution under the leadership of Robespierre. However, of late, terrorism has come to mean use of violence by a small minority aiming to achieve political change by means of terror. Terrorists do surprise and indiscriminate attacks on civilians, symbols of power such as attack on a World Trade Center in the year 2001 by Al-Qaeda. Also, hijacks is a form of terrorist action such as IC Advent hijack of 24 December 1999 by the Taliban. And also bombing such as 2008 Mumbai attacks, which was a series of attacks from 26 November to 29 November by Lashkar-e-Taiba. Types of terrorism. Types of terrorism include cross-border terrorism, narco-terrorism, internet terrorism. These are some of the types of terrorism. Cross-border terrorism means terrorism which is in a state, but it is practicing its terrorist activities in a neighboring state. A perfect example of cross-border terrorism can be seen in relation to Pakistan, who is organizing and sponsoring and financing terrorist activities in India to terrorize the people of India in general and of Jammu and Kashmir in particular. For instance, the Pulwama attack of 2019 on 14 February 2019 by Jaish-e-Mohammed is an instance. Causes of terrorism. The reality of persistent disputes based on ideological difference and misguidance to young minds in the name of religion, ethnic loyalty, and nationalism. Influence of mass media and globalization. Though globalization is not a direct factor, but it contributes to the emergence of terrorism as technological advancements such as internet helps terrorist organizations to create larger networks and finance and discuss resources and information. Moving on, consequences of terrorism. Some of the consequences of terrorism include environmental consequences, political consequences, and economic consequences. Terrorism is the biggest threat to the security of mankind. The fight against terrorism can be achieved only if governments of all nations come together and share information relating to prevention and combating of terrorism. The fight against terrorism can be achieved only if governments come together and education should be imparted on peacemaking and international thinking should be encouraged. Further, it will be continued by my fellow friend. Thank you.
Thank you. The movement of people from one place to another with the intention of settling permanently or temporarily in a new location. The movement is often over a long distance and from one country to another. Types of migration: labor migration, economic migration, and political migration. Labor migration is defined as the cross-border movement for employment in another country. It involves high-skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled migrants. For example, India is the largest migrants internationally. Economic migration. Economic migration it is defined as the decision to move from one country to another in order to improve one's living standard through better paid jobs and better facilities, etc. Political migration. Political migration migrants who are the people moving from one country to another due to political discrimination and civil war in their home countries. Who Factors of migration. There are mainly two factors of migration: push and pull factors. Push factors are negative, such as unemployment, war and flood, drought and crop failure, and unemployment, poor opportunities of education and amenities, etc. Pull factors are positive such things such as better opportunities of standard living, better education and better healthcare, etc. Beyond this, push and pull factor, in the era of globalization, the free movement of labor amongst countries in the world has been facilitated by signing treaties, bilateral and multilaterals, and advancement in information technology sector. Facts and figures. According to 2019 data, there are international migrants are 52 international migrants are males and 48% are females. Impacts of migration. There are positive and negative impacts of migration. Positive impacts: boost economy, return migrants saving in skills and in international context. Unemployment reduction. Unemployment is reduced and young migrants enhance their life perspectives. Negative impacts: growth of crime and human trafficking. Ease of migration may organize crime and human trafficking. Decline of human resources. Economic disadvantage through loss of young workers. Measures of migration: it can be creation of job opportunities and social security and education improvement. In the current past, the globalization has further enhanced migration mainly through revolutionary changes in the information technologies, and due to globalization, in few decades, there is no country which not been touched indirectly or directly by migration phenomena.
I will be representing the subtopic environmental issues. At the present moment, environmental issues have been becoming a global concern at the contemporary world because the environmental issues are impacting the life of the human, and it has been immensely contributing negatively. Introduction. As you know, that environment is the sum total of living and non-living elements and their effects that influence the human life. Let's see some facts on the environment. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. According to the 2020 report of the UN, the presence of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is 112 parts per million. Growth rate of carbon dioxide. And the growth rate of carbon dioxide annually is 2.37 parts per million. Importance of environment. Source of life, means of livelihood. As you know, the environment is very significant for us. Environment is a source of life because our life on this planet, our existence is not possible without the environment. And it is a means of livelihood because we derive everything that we need to survive from the environment. Global Conventions on Environment, Stockholm Conference on Human Environment, and Earth Summit. Stockholm Conference on Human Environment was convened in Stockholm, Sweden in the year 1972, and its main objective was to protect human health and the environment as well. And Earth Summit was held in the year 1992, and it was held in Rio de Janeiro of Brazil, and it was held to have a sustainable socio-economic development and to protect the environment as well. Now Now let us see some of the global environmental issues such as global warming, ozone layer depletion. Global warming is the rise of the Earth's temperature because of the heat being trapped by the greenhouse gases, and ozone layer depletion. Ozone layer depletion is the thinning of the layer of ozone which is present in the stratosphere, and these are being depleted because of the gases such as chlorine and bromide. And now let us see some of the factors of environmental issues such as emission of harmful gases and treated waste disposal. The factories and the vehicles which use fossil fuels used to produce gases such as methane and nitrous oxide. All these things harm the environment. And the wastes which are disposed by the urbanized place and the factories, they dump the unwanted waste into the water bodies and on the land that affect the aquatic animal and the organisms that is present on the land. Hence, environment is very significant for us. We should preserve, protect, and promote the environment. To protect and promote and preserve the environment, stringent law execution, and the another one is adoption of sustainable development. The law which are implemented to preserve and protect the environment, we should execute them properly and with proper supervision. And we should adopt the principle of sustainable development. And this sustainable development is development meeting the needs of the present without compromising the future. Every nation and as an individual, if we can, then we should adopt this principle. As environment is very significant for us, we should strive to preserve this environment, and the global issues such as migration issues and contemporary issues as well, we should try to give whatever we could to preserve or to remove these complications. Thank you.